Welcome back to the Drive Formula podcast, where we use trust, communication, and action to accelerate your team from 0 to 60. This is Marcus Williams. Today is Chapter 4 of the book Driving Engagement. If you haven't had a chance to listen to our enhanced audiobook podcast, you can go back and start at Chapter 1. Every week we read a chapter, and the following week we take a deep dive into that chapter with the authors, going deeper into the stories and principles taught in those chapters. We encourage you to purchase the book so that you can follow along. Even if you're listening in your car or at work or while you're working out, you'll be able to go home and highlight, mark, take notes in your physical book. So those books are available on Amazon or other fine booksellers online. Today we are reading Chapter 4. So let's get started. Chapter 4, Heating the Sensors. Not only is your vehicle designed to function as advertised, it has an entire system created to communicate to you when something needs your attention. Your vehicle has multiple built-in reminders and warning systems to help you prevent catastrophic failures. However, your vehicle cannot fix itself, at least not yet. We are living in a world where self-driving cars are a reality and may soon become mainstream. Nevertheless, even the most technologically advanced car won't drive itself to a maintenance center at night, only to be back in your garage ready to drive the next morning. Perhaps one day. Safety systems are only effective if you, as the owner of the car, listen to them and take action. Even when parked, your vehicle may have built-in safety or security features. Do you have an alarm system installed? Is your car equipped with an anti-theft start system? Something as simple and mechanical as the parking brake can keep you safe. Marcus. I had a truck with a manual transmission. It was parked in my driveway, the gear shift in first gear to keep it from rolling down the slight incline. But I failed to engage the parking brake as well, and my daughter, who was probably 8 or 9 years old, decided to play in the cab. She hit the shifter and knocked it out of gear, causing the truck to roll backwards. She was able to jump clear, and thankfully no one was behind the truck at the time, except for the neighbor's poor mailbox. But my failure to utilize a simple safety feature could have ended in tragedy. According to the United States Department of Transportation, frontal airbags saved 50,457 lives between 1987 and 2017. Now cars are equipped with side airbags as well. You don't need to buy a luxury vehicle to get features such as airbags, automatic braking, blind spot monitoring, anti-lock brakes, and more. Apart from these automatic safety features, our cars have built-in warning systems. You may see the dreaded check engine light on your dash, among others. The sensors in your car are tasked with identifying problems and then communicating those problems to the operator. It is up to you, as the driver, to get the problem diagnosed and fixed. How many times do we think we're the expert and refuse to listen to what the car is trying to tell us? Eric. I recall a time when a customer called and said his vintage truck was vibrating horribly. He was convinced the problem was the motor mounts, a major repair job. As the trained mechanic, I started asking additional questions, trying to rule out other, more simple solutions. I thought it could be his tires. One of the ways a vehicle communicates that the tires are going bad is they start to vibrate. Instead of a light on the dash, you hear and feel the warning. But the owner of the truck refused to listen. He was on the phone arguing with me, convinced it was the motor mounts when, boom, I heard a loud noise over the phone. The man said he had to go and hung up. Later I learned he had blown a tire. Getting new tires was a simple solution. Yet he refused to believe what the truck was telling him and what his mechanic was telling him. Had the tire not blown, he would have spent a lot of time and money changing the motor mounts when all he needed was new tires. When it comes to our vehicles, we receive feedback through all of our senses. We can check tires or fluid levels with our eyes. We hear squealing belts or grinding brakes with our ears. We smell burning rubber with our nose. Eric. I recently had a woman bring her car into my shop with the engine overheated and damaged beyond repair. She said the check engine light had come on weeks ago, but she thought she could wait a couple of weeks to get it checked out. In the meantime, fluid leaked onto her garage floor and other warning lights came on. Unfortunately, she ignored them all until it was too late. As a leader in your company, you must learn to recognize warning signs that indicate a system, team, or process is breaking down. You must trust your warning systems to give you the information you need to act, whether that be routine maintenance or a big repair job. Fatigue, stress, low production, low morale. These are all warning signs that something is wrong with your company, and whatever is causing it needs to be fixed. One of the most common leadership responses to these warning signs is to blame the employees, which is simply a way to rationalize not taking action or responsibility. Employees suffering from job fatigue? They need to stop going out at night and get more sleep. Employees stressed at work? Maybe they should have planned better and not taken that family vacation when there was a deadline looming. Your team suffering from low production? It's just this new generation. They're all lazy. Signs of low morale? Well, at least they have a job. Why are they complaining? By ignoring the warning signs and reassigning blame, you are only exacerbating the problem. And what good does that do? Your employees become less and less productive and your business suffers. What if you shift your thinking? Employee suffering from job fatigue? Maybe they are not in the role they are most qualified or suited for, thus leading to apathy and low job satisfaction. Employees stressed at work? Maybe you have not provided them with the resources they need to do their job to the standard they would like. Your team suffering from low production? Maybe your systems are outdated, confusing, or redundant. Signs of low morale? Maybe your team keeps telling you they need help, but they don't see you taking any action. There is no business on the planet that is perfectly run or designed and will never have problems. Even brand new cars require maintenance and repairs. As a leader, you must create an environment that encourages employees to report problems, provide feedback, and send you the important warning signs. Don't send an email encouraging everyone to report problems and then expect it to just happen. You have to show your employees that you value their input by taking action whenever a problem is reported to you. What would happen if someone got so sick of their check engine light coming on that they just disabled it? Does that make the reason for the light go away? Of course not. Marcus. When my daughter called one day to tell me her light came on, I told her to drive straight to the auto parts store to have a technician read the code so that we would know exactly what was wrong. Knowledge would allow us to make smart decisions. When you rectify problems early and quickly, you demonstrate your willingness to keep your company in fine-tuned, working order. You value every employee and the part they play in making the business run. Sometimes the action you take is to repair or replace a faulty part. In the workplace, this could be an employee who is violating your policy, acting inappropriately, or simply not in the right place. A part made for one car won't properly work in another. If you are facing this situation, you must handle each case consistently and equally. Sometimes your employees are going to do bad things that hurt other employees or your business. They can become a poison that infects the entire team. Take sexual misconduct, for example. When one person engages in sexual harassment or assault in the workplace, it impacts not only the victim, but the entire workforce. It's like disconnecting the brakes from your car and telling everyone not to worry, that the car will still drive fine. When misconduct is reported, 1. You must initiate a professional investigation immediately. 2. You must ensure the safety of all parties during the investigation. 3. You must act upon the findings of the investigation. Even if the accused is your friend or best worker, if the investigation finds that the allegations are supported, you have a bad part in your car that must be replaced. One of the most fatal mistakes in business leadership is thinking that employees who are deemed, quote, important get a pass and are allowed to continue working, while so-called, quote, unimportant employees, accused of even lesser offenses, are fired. Guess what? When you do this, you are communicating loud and clear that you are only going to heed the warning signs that interest you or impact you personally. Faulty rear seatbelt? No big deal, I never sit there anyway. Well, what about the person who does? As a leader, constantly watch, listen, and feel. Use every tool at your disposal to diagnose and rectify problems as soon as you learn of them. Learn to anticipate and avoid problems just as you perform scheduled preventative maintenance on your car. Are your employees all in the role that is best fit for them? Marcus. I once worked for an organization where the same job title encompassed a very large job description. We were expected to be proficient at everything, but encouraged to become experts in a specific function. At one point, I was assigned to fill a role that had sat vacant for some time and was going to lose funding if not filled. Although the role was technically included in the job description, it was worlds away from the expertise I had spent over a decade acquiring. I worked in the role for a short time and knew immediately that I would not be able to provide the level of production or service the role deserved. Sure, I could do the minimum, but it would take years for me to get to where they wanted the person in that role to be. As a result, I was not happy, but instead of throwing up my hands and declaring that my employer was getting the product they deserved, I made a case to my supervisor why my talents and skill set were being wasted. As a company asset, I could be utilized elsewhere with much better results for me and the company. It took time, but eventually they realized that they had spent time and money building an expertise that was currently being wasted. Most employees won't come to you. They will simply resign themselves to do a job they have no desire to do, and do so with less and less enthusiasm as time passes. You should be actively engaged in communicating with your employees and making sure they know that your goal is to put them in a role where they will be engaged and productive. All right, folks, that is Chapter 4 of Driving Engagement. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section below, or you can email us at support@thedriveformula.com. That's support@thedriveformula.com. Please subscribe to the podcast so you're notified of future episodes. And next week, Eric and I will break down Chapter 4 and go deeper into the stories and principles that we just read in Chapter 4. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks for listening or watching, and we will catch you next time on the Drive Formula Podcast.